A beautiful but vain young woman marries the most handsome man in the village. She mothers 2 children, and then her husband deserts her. One day, along the banks of the river, her anger and grief bubbles up within, and she hurls her 2 boys into the river, drowning them. Overcome with regret, she drowns herself after. Denied entrance to heaven without her 2 children, she is cursed to forever search the waters for her children's remains and to haunt the living as she searches. As a child growing up in 1940s New Mexico, author Rudilfo Anaya would have been familiar with Mexican folktales such as the previous story of La Llorona or the Weeping Woman. He learned early in life the power of his story passed down through generations, which drove him to explore his cultural heritage through writing. Rather than cast aside his Mexican roots in favor of the more prevalent American culture, he integrates both into his writing. In an attempt to liberate Chicanos, Mexican Americans, from social and political restrictions, as well as provide a unique perspective on universal topics such as the quest for truth, the formation of identity, and the fight of good versus evil. Bless Me Ultima is a quasi-autobiographical novel about a young Chicano named Antonio, coming of age during World War II and finding freedom despite the forces acting upon him. Through Ultima, a curandera, or traditional healer, who comes to stay with his family, Antonio explores his indigenous origins, delving into the realm of the unconscious, where his dreams reveal his culture's symbols and universal archetypes. He balances his mother's strict Catholic beliefs and Ultima's belief in the spirit of nature and one's inner strength. He weighs God's justice and mercy against that of a mythical golden carp who became a fish to protect his people. He craves forgiveness despite his sin and knowledge despite his youth. Readers gain a new perspective on 3 main topics: nature, spirituality, and coming of age, as they accompany Antonio on his journey from innocence to experience. First, nature. When Ultima arrives, Antonio truly recognizes the beauty of the plains for the first time. He feels the spirit pulsing through the river and the strength blowing in the wind. The elements reflect both good and evil. From his father, Antonio learns that a man surrounded by nature becomes free, immortal, limitless. From his mother, he learns the value in being tied to the earth, working it, and depending on the soil. In today's society, people grow increasingly ignorant of every human's innate need to connect with nature. We exploit and pollute our land, water, and air in the name of progress. Anaya brings to light the view of nature that Native Americans had, one that forces us to mourn what we have lost and consider a future where we learn from the past to become better stewards of the earth. Second, spirituality. Personally, this book challenged my religious views, stretching my mind to consider the plurality of belief systems that can exist at once. Antonio struggles to reconcile the presence of evil in a world supposedly controlled by an all-powerful, gracious God. Why had God not cured his Uncle Lucas from the witch's curse? Why did God allow his friend Florence, who never asked to be born, to suffer his whole life? Anaya demonstrates the beauty in a less exclusive view of religion, creating space for mystical beliefs despite our current society's desire for proof and clear-cut answers. He forces Americans to recognize the cultural richness we often overlook that has survived despite the oppression and suffering of minority groups. Third, coming of age. Everyone must cross the threshold from childhood to adulthood. Bildungsromans, therefore, are highly relatable and raise questions about what it means to form a worldview and live in accordance with one's beliefs. Antonio loses innocence as he gains experience facing immorality and death. He worries about his soul's final destination and his role in the current world. Anaya captures the difficulty in forming a composite cultural identity and being true to oneself, not the expectations of others. Bless Me Ultima also relates to the hot topic of immigration. While so many characterize Latin Americans, particularly Mexicans, as dangerous criminals, Anaya presents an authentic view of their culture, their dreams, and viewpoints, which humanizes them. Throughout all of history, people have mistreated those who are different from them, labeling them inferior. The Spanish conquered and converted the Aztecs, Maya, and Inca. Americans displaced and infected Native Americans. However, the influence of minorities still runs strong in America through art, music, and literature. When you read Bless Me Ultima, you journey alongside Antonio, seeing life through the eyes of a child. You confront the universal mystery of the meaning of life and get to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. If you read Bless Me Ultima, be prepared for your religious views to be challenged, your love for nature deepened, your arsenal of Spanish swear words expanded, your cultural sensitivity heightened, and your understanding of the human condition renewed. In short, be prepared to be blessed.